welcome. I hope you're well. I'm going to talk about autonomy today and how I think that's far better way of operating than depending upon charity and relying upon people to dictate to you. And I've been prompted to do so because I've recently watched a couple of TED Talks that were really inspiring. The first one was by Dylan Dinesh. Dinesh. I'll put a link to these in the show notes. But he was basically talking about the problem with developing countries in Africa is that they have almost developed this dependency on charity, and everywhere you go there's like sort of signs saying, oh, this such and such has been supported by such and such a charity, and he just feels that it sort of takes away a bit of the empowerment of people living in those countries to help themselves. And so that was one of the talks, and then the other talk was one by Dan Pink, and that's one of the most popular TED Talks. I think it's one of my favourites as well, and he talks about the puzzle of motivation, and one of his key factors about motivation is autonomy. And he says that actually in the kind of more creative environments that we work and exist in these days, that motivates you far more than payment per results, which can actually have a detrimental effect these days, but I'll not go into that. It's very interesting. You can have a look in the link that I post. And I can really relate to both of those talks on a running level from when I used to get funding. And when I had my best year, 2006, the year leading up to that, I was on something what's called TASS, so Talented Athlete Support or something like that, which basically you were allocated, I think it was £5,000, and you had to come up with a business plan effectively of how you were going to spend that money. And so it was up to you. You had the autonomy, you could be creative with it, and you could make it stretch as far as you wanted it to go. Whereas then after 2006, when I had my big breakthrough, qualified for proper lottery funding, whereby you are then given money without having to have a plan as such, because they have all the staff around you that are going to do all that for you. All the treatment, comes as standard. You don't have to allocate your funds to that. And then you're expected to live in a certain place and train with certain groups, all that kind of thing. And well, needless to say, that didn't work for me. I just now it frustrates me actually, because you often hear the commentators when you watch athletics say that lottery funding makes athletes soft, because obviously it didn't exist when they were athletes, and I can kind of see where they're coming from, but I don't subscribe to that, because I trained harder than ever when I was on lottery funding, and I wanted it more than ever, and I would have done anything legal to reach my goals. And so it's not that it makes you soft, but it had a negative effect on me in that I didn't take as much control, and I didn't kind of buy in almost to the process quite so much when I had lottery funding, because I sort of thought that, oh well, I'm expected to do this training, and then these people will pick up the pieces if I get injured, or or they're gonna help me recover, or they're gonna do this and that. And so I suppose there was a slight sense of entitlement in some ways, which is terrible, because that's something I really hate these days in society. I just think, it's far better to have that control yourself, and to really have the buy-in, and be creative with how you go about things. I hope that makes sense, and you can relate to it yourselves, and you again don't look for people to do things for you, and put things on a plate for you. In fact, quite often what you need is not more money, it's just a different way of thinking. Right, okay. Have a good rest of the weekend. Oh, it might not be weekend when you're watching this, so have a good rest of the day. Alright, take care. Bye bye.